Emma's wheelchair sits motionless as cruel laughter echoes through the park. Daniel reaches for her, but she's already shutting down, walls slamming back into place. "This was a mistake," she whispers, voice breaking. "You and Lily deserve better than someone who brings this kind of attention." Before we dive in, comment where in the world you are watching from, and don't forget to click subscribe. The afternoon sun filtered through the oak trees at Riverside Park, casting dappled shadows across the concrete path where Captain Emma Hartley sat motionless in her wheelchair. 29 candles she'd counted this morning, staring at her reflection in the bathroom mirror of her sterile apartment. 29 years, and this birthday she would spend entirely alone. Her blonde hair, once kept in a regulation bun, now fell loose around her shoulders. She wore civilian clothes, jeans, and a sweater, but sometimes she still felt the weight of her uniform, still heard the explosion that had stolen her legs and nearly her life in Afghanistan 3 years ago. The small cupcake she'd bought herself sat on her lap, a single candle unlit. What was the point of making a wish when everything you wanted was impossible? The sound of children's laughter made her look up. A little girl, maybe 7 or 8, was chasing a red balloon that had escaped her grip. Behind her, a man called out gently, his voice warm with affection rather than alarm. Emma watched as the girl caught the balloon, triumphant, and turned back to her father with a grin that could light the whole park. The man was tall, with light brown hair and an easy smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. He knelt to tie the balloon more securely to his daughter's wrist, and Emma felt something twist in her chest. Not envy, exactly, but a deep ache for normalcy, for connection, for the simple joy of not being alone. The little girl noticed Emma first. Children always did. They stared openly at the wheelchair, at her unmoving legs, with the honest curiosity adults tried to hide. But this girl didn't just stare. She walked directly over, her father following a few steps behind, clearly uncertain whether to intervene. "Hi," the girl said brightly. "I'm Lily. Today's my birthday. Is it your birthday too? You have a cupcake." Emma blinked, surprised into honesty. "Yes, actually, it is my birthday." Lily's eyes widened with delight. "Really? How old are you?" "I'm 7 today." The man reached them, placing a gentle hand on his daughter's shoulder. "Lily, you can't just interrogate strangers about their age." His eyes met Emma's, apologetic but kind. "I'm sorry." "She's excited about birthdays today. We've been celebrating all day." Emma found herself smiling, a real smile that felt strange on her face. "It's fine. I'm Emma, and I'm 29, though I'm not particularly celebrating." Lily looked horrified. "But you have to celebrate birthdays." "It's the rule. Daddy, she's not celebrating. We should help." The man whose name Emma learned was Daniel, looked torn between embarrassment and something that might have been understanding. "We don't want to intrude," he said, but his eyes were assessing her in a way that made Emma think he saw more than the wheelchair. He saw the loneliness, perhaps, or recognized something of it in himself. "You're not intruding," Emma heard herself say, surprising even herself. "I don't really have plans. I was just going to sit here for a while." Lily took this as an invitation, plopping down on the bench beside Emma's wheelchair. "We had cake at home, but Daddy said we could get ice cream here because it's special. You should come with us. Birthday people should have ice cream together." Daniel met Emma's gaze again, and this time she saw the story in his eyes. Widower, she thought, or perhaps divorced, raising this bright spark of a girl alone, finding joy in her joy because his own reserves had run dry. She recognized it because she felt it too, that particular exhaustion of surviving rather than living. "Ice cream sounds nice," Emma said quietly, and so began the strangest birthday celebration of her life. They walked slowly, Daniel adjusting his pace without comment to match her wheelchair, Lily chattering about everything and nothing. At the ice cream stand, Lily insisted they all get different flavors so they could share, and Daniel bought Emma's before she could protest. They found a table in the shade, and Lily produced a small package from her backpack. "I was going to save this for later, but you should have it now. Daddy says we should always share good things." Inside was a simple friendship bracelet, woven in bright colors. "I made 3," Lily explained. "One for me, one for Daddy, and one extra because you never know when you'll meet someone who needs one. I think you need it today." Emma's throat tightened as the little girl fastened the bracelet around her wrist with careful fingers. "Thank you, Lily." "It's beautiful." Over ice cream, the conversation flowed easier than Emma had experienced in months. Daniel was a high school teacher, English literature, raising Lily alone since his wife had died in childbirth. The grief was old enough not to be raw, but fresh enough to still shape his days. "Some mornings are harder than others," he admitted, while Lily was distracted by a passing dog. "But she keeps me going. Forces me to find reasons to smile." Emma understood that completely. "I have days where I don't know why I keep pushing through physical therapy, why I keep trying when my legs will never work again. Then I think about the soldiers who didn't make it home, and I feel obligated to make this life count for something." Lily returned to the table, her face serious. "Did you get hurt in the war?" "My friend Tyler's uncle was in the war. He has a medal." Emma nodded. "I did. I was a captain in the army. My vehicle hit an IED, an improvised explosive device. I'm lucky to be alive." Lily processed this with the directness of childhood. "But you're sad about your legs." It wasn't a question. "Sometimes," Emma admitted. "Sometimes I'm sad about a lot of things. Today I was sad about being alone on my birthday." Lily reached across the table and took Emma's hand. "You're not alone now. We're having a birthday party, and Daddy and I think you're very brave." Emma looked at Daniel, who nodded in agreement. "What Lily said. I can't imagine what you've been through, but you're here. That takes real courage." For the first time in 3 years, Emma felt truly seen. Not as the injured veteran, not as the woman in the wheelchair, but as a whole person with worth beyond her limitations. As the afternoon stretched into evening, they stayed together. Daniel told stories about his students, making Emma laugh with tales of teenage drama and literary misunderstandings. Lily showed Emma her drawings, elaborate scenes of princesses and dragons where the heroes always won. Emma found herself talking about her life before the injury, the dreams she'd had to relinquish, the new ones she was slowly learning to build. When the park lights began to flicker on, Lily yawned widely. "Time to go home," Daniel said, but he looked reluctant. "Emma, I know this might be forward, but would you want to exchange numbers?" "Lily and we'd like to see you again, if you'd like that too." Emma's first instinct was to say no, to retreat back into her safe isolation. But something about this unexpected day, about Daniel's quiet kindness and Lily's uncomplicated acceptance, made her want to be brave in a different way. "I'd like that," she said, entering her number into Daniel's phone. As they prepared to leave, Lily threw her arms around Emma in a spontaneous hug. "Happy birthday, Emma. I'm glad you weren't alone today." The weeks that followed brought a gradual shift in Emma's world. Daniel texted first, just checking in, then suggesting coffee. They met again, this time at a cafe near Emma's apartment, and the conversation picked up as if they'd been friends for years rather than strangers who'd met by chance. Lily always came along, her presence a buffer that made things feel safe and uncomplicated. She'd bring Emma drawings, ask about physical therapy with genuine interest, and occasionally say things with such simple wisdom that both adults would fall silent. Daniel never treated Emma differently because of her wheelchair. He didn't hover or offer unnecessary help. He simply included her in their lives naturally. Weekend trips to the farmer's market, where Lily would pick out flowers for Emma's apartment. Movie afternoons where they'd let Lily choose, then suffer through animated films with Grace and popcorn. Quiet dinners at Daniel's house, where Emma helped Lily with homework while Daniel cooked, the domestic normalcy healing something deep inside her. But healing wasn't linear, and one evening everything nearly fell apart. They were at the park again, their spot now, when a group of teenagers walked past. One made a crude comment about the wheelchair, and though Daniel immediately moved to confront them, Emma's reaction was worse. She shut down completely, the walls slamming back into place. "I should go," she said, her voice flat. This was a mistake. You don't need this in your life, Daniel. You and Lily deserve better than someone who brings this kind of attention. Daniel crouched beside her wheelchair, his eyes intense. Emma, look at me. Those kids were idiots. Their ignorance doesn't define you or us. What mistake? The mistake would be walking away from something real because you're afraid. But Emma couldn't hear him through her own fear and shame. She left abruptly, ignoring his calls for the next 3 days. It was Lily who broke through. She showed up at Emma's apartment with Daniel, holding a hand-drawn card. "I made you this," she said when Emma answered the door. "It's a picture of us being friends forever. Because that's what we are." The drawing showed 3 stick figures holding hands. Emma in her wheelchair, Daniel tall beside her, Lily small and smiling between them. At the top, in careful child's handwriting, "Family is who loves you always." Emma's composure crumbled. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I got scared. I thought maybe you'd realize I'm too broken for this." Daniel shook his head firmly. "You're not broken, Emma. You're healing. And healing isn't pretty or linear. But you don't have to do it alone anymore, not if you don't want to." The dam broke. Emma told them everything. The nightmares that still woke her screaming. The days she couldn't get out of bed because the weight of her new reality crushed her. The fear that she'd never be enough, never be whole, never deserve love or connection. Daniel listened without judgment, then shared his own demons. The guilt he still carried about his wife's death, wondering if he could have done something different. The terror of raising Lily alone, of failing her, of his own grief consuming him. "But then I met you," he said softly, "and I remembered that broken people can still build beautiful things together." That night marked a turning point. Emma stopped hiding her struggles, letting Daniel and Lily see her on the hard days as well as the good ones. In return, she became part of their family in ways that felt natural and right. She attended Lily's school events, helped Daniel grade papers, became a constant presence in their lives. When Lily asked if Emma could come to her school's family day, both adults felt the significance of the question. A year after that first birthday meeting, Emma sat in the same park spot, but everything was different. Daniel sat beside her, holding her hand, while Lily played nearby. "I have something for you," he said, pulling out a small wrapped box. Inside was a key. "It's to our house," he explained. "Lily and we want you to know you always have a home with us. No pressure about what that means or what comes next. Just, you belong here, with us." Emma looked at this man who had seen her at her lowest and stayed. At the little girl who had taught her that love wasn't about perfection, but about showing up. "I have something too," she said. From her bag she pulled out papers. "I enrolled in graduate school. Counseling psychology, specializing in veteran services. I want to help others like me find their way back to living." Daniel's smile was radiant with pride. "That's amazing, Emma. When do you start?" "Next fall. Which gives me time to move." She took a deep breath, terrified and hopeful. "If the offer still stands, I'd like to take that key. Not just for visits, for real." Lily overheard and came running, nearly knocking over Emma's wheelchair in her excitement. "You're moving in? Really? We can be a family for real." Emma pulled the child into a hug, then reached for Daniel's hand. "If you'll have me." Broken parts and all. "Always," Daniel said. "We'll figure out the broken parts together." As the sun set over the park where they'd met, Emma realized her birthday wish from a year ago had come true after all. Not walking again, not erasing her past, but finding people who loved her through it. Family wasn't about blood or perfection. It was about showing up, about choosing each other, about 3 broken people building something whole together. The wheelchair would always be part of her story, but it was no longer the whole story. Now there was Daniel's steady presence, Lily's uncomplicated love, and a future that held purpose and connection and hope. Sometimes the best things in life came from the moments when you stopped trying to be alone and let people in. And sometimes birthday wishes came true in ways you never expected, delivered by a 7-year-old with a red balloon and a father who understood that courage came in many forms. including the courage to heal.